We're streaming. I'd like to welcome everybody. At the same time, I'd like to apologize for last week. We had quite a turnout, over 100 people tuned in, but we had a little difficulty with the power from the router, and so we lost a few people as we went along. But it was a very good evening last Wednesday, and hopefully we took care of the bugs, the problems with the audio. I'm still not sure about being able to tune in directly from the Meditation Learning Center website. We're working on that. I hope it's doable, otherwise we'll have to do it, a lot of you just come here from YouTube, and that's wonderful. So with that said, I hope everybody is faring well with the conditions that are happening globally, namely the social distancing and that type of thing. I still think that a big part of this is the fear that we have, and of course it's difficult to tell people to not be fearful in times like this, but in order to be fair with everyone, we have to have a lot of patience. And patience is a type of faith, and it's a type of belief that we are all going to be fine. Everything will take care of itself, and there's just some lessons that we must learn, from this whole experience that we're having with this coronavirus, and we have to keep level-headed as far as refraining from hoarding, and we really have to take care of each other, take care of our neighbors, and not take the last carton of eggs or the more toilet paper than we need, and that kind of thing. So most people, when we talk about it, it's just a crazy situation, and hopefully it'll be. I see it as being crazy for a few weeks and then lightening up the same way it did in China, and everything will slowly go back to normal. And that's my belief. I have faith in that, and I think it works that way. So tonight, the Meditation Learning Center is not open. We're not holding a group meditation, so this is streamed. I'm in my home in Gilbert. My partner Terry is silently meditating in the same room, listening to me talk, and so it's just the two of us and a couple of cats, and so it's quite nice actually. The center is a good at least a half-hour drive from here. And so we're not trying to make that commute, on Wednesday nights, last couple of Wednesdays, and we'll get back to that, in a few weeks, I'm sure. But for now, everything is fine, just the way we're putting it out there as far as streaming. And like I said, last week it worked really well. We had over 100 people watching, so hopefully there's a good number of people out there that are interested in doing this kind of thing. As a group, and I think it's important to feel that we are in a group, even though we're at home watching this, and I think it can still have that group energy to it, because the Sangha is a Sangha, whether it's just in one location or all over the world. I think we can feel each other's energy through the practice itself. We don't have to be sitting next to anyone or being with anyone, as far as being next to them. So this is a good opportunity to check that out. So I wanted to talk about a couple of things. One of them, all of this I've covered within the last couple of months in various recorded teachings that I did. And it has to do with the steps towards renunciation or letting go. And I think when we, at times like this, it's very important that we realize that what we have to let go of and what needs to be let go of. And in Buddhist terms, letting go generally means letting go of attachments. But when we think of the healing qualities of letting go, it's even deeper than that. You know, we can say that when we look back on some of the things that we're holding within the body from a subconscious level, these are the things that have been probably causing us problems all of our lives. Things that we carry or have carried with us from childhood, things that have happened, maybe traumatic things, maybe things we don't even realize, and those are the things that are very tricky. So backing up a little bit, let's take a look at how some of this can come about, and maybe we can use it in our meditation tonight. This is the invitation to for your meditation, is to see how this stands up in your own life, how it works for you, and how it may have affected you in the past and can affect you now by realizing and letting go of some of these things. So first of all, we want to be able to realize and actually find what we're up against. We want to somehow go back, and this is an element of using time, the element of time, rather than consciously and purposely staying present like we do in meditation. You know, we want to purposely go back and revisit these moments in the past, in this life and maybe even past lives, but for now, this life, and look at these areas of our life that we've had difficulties in, our relational things with other people, with family, or with anything from breaking up with a girlfriend when we're a teenager to a divorce when we're older, and how these things have affected us. They usually affect us a lot more than we realize, even if we seemingly are unaffected by them. Usually we can go back and find that there's a deeper suspect in this kind of subconscious burying of these parts of our lives that we've had difficulties with. And so this finding, one of the ways that we can do this is just, we have to be very, very open. We want to go back and remember probably the first memory of our life, and go through, kind of create a mental picture of a timeline, and the years, go through the years and find these areas of our lives where these difficulties arose for us. And I think we will find that for the most part, maybe something almost every year, every other year, has happened in such a case where we are having difficulties. You know, we can sometimes have a few really good years, and then something very stressful, you know, very difficult for us, you know, difficulty in our life can happen for us. And so what we want to do is actually revisit these, you know, use the element of time that us humans are so good at, you know, to be able to go back and revisit these things and look at them. And so when we find these areas, and there's probably, for each person, when I do this work with people, there's probably 12 to 16 areas in a person's life that a person have had these difficulties. And once these are pinpointed, and this usually helps to do some journaling when a person is doing this, but right now we can do it in our head. Just imagine these times in your life, maybe some of the more prominent, or maybe just a couple of them for now. And what we want to do from there is really take a in-depth look, an investigative look at these things, and really take ourselves back into what actually was happening at that moment, how we were affected, how other people were affected, where did it take place. Really do some investigative work. We want to take a look at what led up to the steps for this thing to happen. And usually when we look at these points in our life, we find one area, one moment where we realize that this is suffering, or this is a difficulty. This is a real difficulty for my life right now. But actually, we want to look at the things that happened before this. So I suggest maybe looking, 24 hours, or even in some cases, it might be 12 hours or 6 hours, or even an hour before this thing happened if it was something like a trauma event that was unexpected. And see how you kind of walked into it, and see how it affected you at that moment, that this prominent moment that it happened. And then take a look at how you felt immediately afterwards. And this leads us into the aspect of how we feel in the body. And this is actually the next step. First we want to find it, and then we want to investigate it, and then we want to notice how we felt within the body when this thing has happened, and actually how we feel in the body right now when we remember, when we recall this event. This is very important because the body is telling us from intuitive standpoint that exactly the finer details. So if we're frightened, we can feel that in the body. If we're angered, it's a different feeling in the body. If it's a PTSD, sometimes we feel frozen, or we feel like we have a difficulty breathing, and all of these things can become apparent right now when we're looking at it and when we're working with it. And we'll do a little bit of this in the meditation as we go here. And so, also feeling in the body, we want to know whether this is the absolute truth. What we experienced is the truth. Because the mind can be very imaginative. It can create all sorts of scenarios. If it's something that happened 20, 30 years ago, we sometimes don't have all the facts. We've sometimes created something on top of what actually happened. And sometimes we create a bigger scenario than is actually there. Sometimes it's the opposite. Sometimes we kind of dampen it down like it's not that big of a deal, where actually it was. And so when we recall these things, we can feel this in the body, and we can remember how it actually happened through the kinesthetic feelings within the body. And these are the same kind of things that people do in the practice of muscle testing or kinesthesiology, where the body does not lie. It is telling the absolute truth. And another part of this is the coming up of, I mentioned intuitive, our intuitive abilities, which we're born with, but also the standpoint of insight, the Buddhist insight. Not only Buddhist, but Buddhist insight for all people. So insight is the rising of the truth that comes from within. It's nothing that we've learned or heard from another person. It's something that we know that is the truth from within us. And so when we are noticing within the body, we can actually get to this point where we can really consider this an insightful experience and an insight itself. Insight is the discovery of the truth for us and for all people. And so again, to repeat, these areas where we're finding these things, then we're investigating, then we're noticing within the body, and then the next step is we have to accept the details and the thing that happened. And in order to be able to let go of any of this, and to be able to actually shed this from our systems, we have to be able to accept that it happened. And probably one of the biggest parts of acceptance, to be honest with for myself, is to see these things as a lesson. Sometimes they don't necessarily seem like a positive lesson, but sometimes it's hard to figure out why this lesson was there and what it's supposed to be teaching. But to have faith that it is a lesson of some sort, something that has to be learned at that moment or in this moment, which can be very, very important, because we are actually recalling these things. If something happened in the past and we did not learn that lesson from this experience that happened, we are holding it and carrying it with us all the way up until this present moment. And this is our opportunity right now to accept everything that happened in order for us to be able to renunciate and be able to let go, which is the final area here. And letting go, we want to be able to, we have to accept and to let go of anything. There has to be a clarity of what we're working with. And it's important to realize that we're not trying to let go of the memory. We're trying to let go of any negativity that it might be carrying around within the body and mind. And anytime we let go of something, it's very similar to cleaning out a area in your house where you want to add new furniture or new things, or cleaning out your closet so you can put some new things in there. And it's the same way within our minds and within our bodies as well. We have to be able to let go of these things in order to rejuvenate and be, reborn to a certain extent, to let these new experiences ripen and to really feel like life is rejuvenated for us. We have to let go of the old, not necessarily the memories, but any kind of negativity that we're carrying along with these things. So when we look back of any time, any kind of healing that we've had, any of us, there is that element of letting go. Even if we have difficulty getting rid of somebody in a relationship, for example, we have come to a point where we have finally been able to let go of that so that we can move forward. If there's an illness, even something as simple as the body being constipated or something, where we finally get to a point where we can be able to let go. It's a type of renunciation. To let go of these things, we feel much better. So it's the proverbial backpack that we're taking off of the back that we've been carrying around for all these years. We're able to take it off and give a sigh of relief and say, I'm able to really let go of that. And it's true with everything. And the reason I say this is because that is really the element of the Eastern practices of meditation, which we are practicing in the West now. These Buddhists and Hindus and the Taoist practice and all of these Eastern practices that incorporate meditation, it's a practice of letting go. Not necessarily always true in the West, but in the East it's very much so. And so with that in mind, I don't want to get too carried away here with just talking. We're going to do a meditation, and I'll guide us through the meditation, and I'll talk a little bit more about the element of letting go and leading up to this ability for us to let go. And then we'll have a period of silence, and then we'll see where we're at from there. So please make yourself comfortable. Close the eyes. Keeping the back fairly straight, the chin lifted. Hopefully you're in the comfort of your own home. Your environment is very friendly and unharming. Very few excessive noises. Body's comfortable. The eyes are closed. Just bring your attention to the breath for a few moments. Sometimes it's nice to take a little deeper than normal inhalation to kind of grab hold of the breath and see where we feel it the most in the body. We're always using the breath as our focal point. And the breath is what allows our attention to be focused. Our attention wanders off, and then we notice that, and we can bring our attention back to the breath. So at this moment, allow yourself to become familiar with the breath, but to also allow yourself to just briefly go back into a moment of time where you've had difficulties and that you may suspect that there's some subconscious problems that may be lingering from that difficulty that you've had. And if you're not sure whether this is a fact or not, that's fine. Just go back and visit a time in your life that might have been a little bit traumatic, maybe something that you're still grieving. Something that caused some type of suffering for yourself or for others. Maybe you seemed as if it was unfair or hurtful. Maybe it was just simply an accident. Could be anything. And use that experience as a tool to investigate. Not necessarily as a tool, but something to investigate and to look at in depth. And again, see the steps that led up to this particular thing that happened. You can take it as slow and easy as you like. You can see it from a third party, as if you're seeing it on a movie screen. Or you could see it just as you're looking at it through your own eyes as the experience is happening. Either way is fine. Experience yourself the moments before and then the actual experience that you're recalling, that moment that this thing has seemed to happen, such as the pinnacle of the experience. And now see how you're feeling and dealing with it after it happened. Is there fear or anger, sadness, whatever the feeling might be? Just sit with it for a moment. Don't necessarily try to create anything if it's not there. Just see what is there. This is investigation. See what's there. And now notice the feelings within the body. Is there a heaviness in the chest? Is there any tension within the muscles? The muscular tension anywhere in the body? The back or the shoulders? Is there a shortness of breath? Is there stiffness in the neck? And notice if there's a feeling of anger or warmth or fear. And every feeling that you have in the body related to this, and trust that it is a part of it. And use this feeling as it relates to other areas in your life as well. Is there any injuries in the body that could be associated with you carrying this subconscious ailment around with you? Any discomfort that has been lingering for a long time because of something related to this experience? Now, using the body in the same way, see if you can slip into the area of acceptance of the experience. So we're fast forwarding a little bit into the present moment. We're looking at how this experience may have served you through your life. If you didn't have that experience, what may have been the repercussions? What may you have not noticed or done? Or what else may have happened in its place? Notice how that feels within the body. Is there a loosening of any tension? The body feeling more relaxed? Is there any aspect of this experience that cannot be accepted? And why? And ask yourself if you truly want to accept this, or if it's something that you are not yet ready to let go of for whatever reason. You may have to come back and revisit it again and again in order to heal. And if you are ready to accept what happened and see it as a lesson in life, or as a part of life, and in its many different changes and its many different flows and fluctuations, try to step into the area of letting go. There could be a feeling of 100% letting go of the memory and the emotion or the feeling. Or it could just be a feeling of hanging on to the memory itself and letting go of any kind of negativity that might surround it. Because this negativity is actually like a poison. Something that stays in the system until we actually physically want to remove it and lose our identification with it. And so just ask yourself if you're ready to do that. And if so, with an exhalation of the breath, just see if you can let go of any of this negative emotion that might be a part of this experience. You can try this a few times. Just gently allow the air to flow out of the body with the exhalation, like you're letting go. You can come back to this experience again and again for any kind of difficulties that you might have. We're finding, investigating, noticing within the body, accepting and then letting go. And this can be used for many, many different areas of our life. Current situations to things that happened when we were just a child. We'll sit in silence for a few moments. catch the mind wandering, bring your attention to the breath. Repeat the pattern again if you're discovering and working with something to let go of. Find it, investigate it, feel it, accept it, and then do the practice of letting go. Feel it within the body and see if that feeling within the body changes when the intention to let go is made. And if it is made, sit in a peaceful present moment and just bask in that feeling. Bringing attention to the breath. See how the body feels in this moment. Was there anything that was able to be let go of? Anything that had been carried around for a long time? Or maybe just a few attachments? Let's take a nice deep inhalation of the breath. Come back to your space. May each one of us and all beings be well, happy and peaceful. May no harm come to us, may no difficulties come to us. And may we all meet with spiritual and worldly success. May we have the patience, the courage, and the understanding to meet and overcome any problems or any difficulties that we might face. Thank you for meditating with me. Just to recap a little bit, the ability to let go is something that we all have the ability to do. Unfortunately, a lot of us don't realize that. We feel as if we have to carry around this baggage with us from day to day, week to week, year to year, and even life to life. Many people look at this as karma, but that karma can be let go of, and it's proven when a person wakes up. They don't necessarily forget. They don't have an erasing of the memories, but they do have an erasing of the negativity that follows events and negativity that people can identify with. And so this practice is based on the ability to be able to let go, to find, investigate, notice, accept, and then to let go. It's a practice that can be done in meditation, and it's a practice that can be done outside of meditation by being aware, keenly aware of what's happening moment by moment in the body and mind, why we are triggered by certain events, why certain things happen and make us feel a certain way, and just being, in a way, very sensitive to these things, but sensitive in a keen, good way, not overly sensitive, just an awareness. And I really feel that it can help a person achieve a much better level of happiness in life, by being aware and opening up to these things and being able to let go. And once things are let go of, again, with the ability to let new things into life, in our lives, and to be able to move on and to create the life that we are meant to create and live the life that we're meant to live. So I hope this is helpful. If you have any questions or comments, please send them in the YouTube area. You can write any questions you like, or you can actually send them to me directly at shane@meditationlearningcenter.com. I'll look for your email and get back to you. If there's anything I can help you with, let me know. And have a good week. Please tune in next Wednesday. And if you're local in the Phoenix area, I want to remind you that the center is pretty much closed up. The Friday nights and the The Sunday mornings and Thursdays at the temple are closed up as well. But they're doing a fair amount of streaming. Not this type of streaming, but through Zoom. And if you want more details about that, please let me know, and I'll give you the links to sign up for these Zoom meditations, where you can actually link in with other people and have an interactive teaching and interactive meditation. So again, if you have any questions, let me know. I hope this was helpful, and I'll see you next week. Thank you.